Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 13 NFL DraftKings main slate. And like I always do, I'm going to go position by position, talking about each play that sticks out to me. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. Now it is projecting to be a little higher scoring slate here this week than it has been in previous weeks. A handful of games here, especially these top three, that have some shootout potential, so you like to see that. And then take a look down here at the highest implied team totals. You can always use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite cash game plays here. With that being said, let's dive into the quarterbacks here, and I would like to spend up for Patrick Mahomes and or Jalen Hurts here this week. Both are expensive in the 8K range, but they both offer such a safe floor and high ceiling that I want to get there if at all possible. I give the edge to Patrick Mahomes because I think this game between them and the Cincinnati Bengals has some great shootout potential. We're going to need Cincinnati to keep this game close and or play with a lead. Even better for Mahomes if that happens to be the case, but he's certainly capable of going for 30-plus DraftKings points in this game. That's not to say that Jalen Hurts can't do that himself. Obviously he can. We've seen him do it a number of times this year. But that matchup against the Tennessee Titans isn't going to be the easiest. Now, the Titans really struggle through the air. They can't stop wide receivers to save their life, but they are very good at stopping the run. So I think that brings Hurts' upside just down a little bit. Hence the reason I do like Mahomes over Hurts. However, if I want to save some money, I really like Trevor Lawrence here as well at $5,900. Great matchup playing on the road against the Detroit Lions, who ranked 24th overall in defensive DVOA. And I don't even mind Geno Smith there at $6,000 too. He's certainly held his own this year, playing some very good football for the Seahawks. And he's got a good matchup here this week against the Los Angeles Rams. And I don't want to say the Rams have mailed their season in because I don't think Sean McVay is going to allow for that. But they're not a good football team, and they're going to be missing their best defensive player this week as well, and Aaron Donald. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and unlike last week, I'm not really in love with the value running back plays here this week outside of Knight of the New York Jets, who's sitting at a really nice price of $4,600. We'll get into him here in just a minute. Now, if Joe Mixon does not end up playing here on Sunday for the Bengals, then I do like Samaje Perine at $6,000. It sounds like Mixon's going to play, but he also hasn't cleared concussion protocol yet, so do keep an eye on that. If Mixon misses, I do like Perine. But if I'm going to spend up, I like Austin Eckler here of the Los Angeles Chargers. He's essentially a wide receiver number 2 in this offense. He's averaging 8.9 targets per game this year and has seen double-digit targets a handful of games. And this Raiders defense that he's playing against is just both awful at stopping the run and the pass, ranking dead last in defensive DVOA this year. Now, we're going to need to keep an eye on the injury status for Josh Jacobs as well this week. I do believe he's going to play because he's battling a calf injury right now, and it's the same one that he battled last week before he ended up playing on Sunday. And I shouldn't even say playing, he dominated on Sunday, just had himself a massive day on the ground and through the air for what it's worth. And he's got a great matchup here to expand on that this week. I don't expect him to go for 50-plus DraftKings points, but the Chargers are not very good at stopping the run, ranking 29th overall in rush DVOA. And the volume for Jacobs has been awesome this year, especially over the past 8 weeks. He's seen 20-plus rushing attempts and 4-plus targets in 6 of his last 8 games. If he can get that here this week, he should have himself a really nice day against this Chargers defense. And then we do have one value running back on the slate here that I do like this week in Zonovan Knight of the New York Jets. This guy has legit played 1 game in his NFL career. He's an undrafted rookie, but it's so rare that we get a starting running back below $5,000. And even at $4,600, that's egregiously cheap. For a guy that should have double-digit targets here this week, I'm not expecting him to have Austin Eckler targets or Josh Jacobs numbers, but a guy who should see around 10 rushing attempts in this game and 2 or 3 targets. That's good enough for me here at this price of $4,600. He was pretty good last week in his debut with 14 carries and 3 targets, and I don't mind the matchup here this week either against the Minnesota Vikings. And then I got a couple of honorable mentions there First being Kenneth Walker, the rookie running back for the Seattle Seahawks. He has been awesome this year. Now, if we look at the matchup on paper here against the Rams, it doesn't look like the best. The Rams do rank 5th overall in rush DVOA. However, missing Aaron Donald is such a huge hit on that defense, especially on that defensive line. So I do think Walker is viable in your cash lineups. And then David Montgomery there, the Chicago Bears, have rarely highlighted the Bears this year outside of Justin Fields and maybe a little Darnell Mooney. But I do think Montgomery is viable too in this matchup against the Green Bay Packers, who rank dead last this year in rush DVOA. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. It's crazy to think we're already 13 weeks into the NFL season. It goes by so fast, but we got 2 good months of football left, and I will have content coming out for you guys to finish out the year. All right, now diving into the wide receivers here, there's a handful of top-tier wide receivers on this slate, but I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is my favorite higher-priced wide receiver. This is a guy who has seen double-digit targets in 5 games this year and has been held under 8 targets just once this year when healthy, and he's got a really good matchup this week at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, whose defense has not been very good as of late, especially against slot wide receivers. Since week 6, the Jags have given up the 4th most fantasy points per game to slot wide receivers, and that's primarily where Amon-Ra plays. I then got Keenan Allen there of the Los Angeles Chargers, and Mike Williams has been ruled out again here this Sunday, essentially locking Keenan in to the wide receiver number 1 role in this Chargers offense. He's been healthy for 2 weeks now where he's seen a combined 15 targets, and he's certainly capable of seeing double-digit targets, especially in a game like this against a division rival in the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, this Raiders defense is just not good. In fact, they rank dead last, 32nd overall in pass DVOA this year. Allen should have no issue getting open against these cornerbacks in that secondary. And then one wide receiver that I like here in the 4K range this week is Zay Jones of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Played very well as the wide receiver number 2 in this offense this year behind Christian Kirk. He's seen a 22.7% target share, and that has only increased as the season has gone on. Him and Christian Kirk have pretty much dominated the target share here over the past couple of weeks. Jones himself has seen 24 targets in his last 2 games. I'm not banking on him getting 10 plus targets week in and week out, but 6-7 plus, I'll absolutely take that, especially in a matchup like this against the Detroit Lions, who don't have a very good defense themselves and rank 19th overall in pass DVOA this year. Now, I got a few honorable mentions here as well, and actually a 4th. Let me start with the 4th. That's Nico Collins of the Houston Texans, priced in the low 4K range. The volume for him here over the past few weeks has been very good, so I think he's viable in your cash lineup. I understand he does not play for a very good team in the Texans, but in my cash lineup, I'm looking for volume, and Nico Collins has received that. Now, T. Higgins here, I understand that Jamar Chase is expected to play on Sunday. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's actually going to open some things up for T. Higgins, in my opinion. So at $7,200 here, I think he is more of a tournament play for me, but I think he's cash viable. Garrett Wilson there, good matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, who continue to play zone defense, and that has not worked out for them very well. They actually ranked 27th overall in pass DVOA this year, and Garrett Wilson showed some really nice early chemistry with Mike White last week. And then we got Christian Watson there of the Green Bay Packers. Now, he's not a guy I expect to get double-digit targets, especially on a weekly basis, but he has made the most of the volume going his way. He's been a touchdown machine here as well over the past 3 weeks, clearly building some chemistry with Aaron Rodgers, and he's got a really good matchup here this week against the Chicago Bears, who rank 31st overall in pass DVOA. And then I got a couple of tight ends there for you, and being that I would like to spend up at the quarterback position, running back position, and maybe even the wide receiver position, I'm going to have to spend down here at the tight end position. I like Pat Freiermuth here of the Pittsburgh Steelers at $4,300. Seen some really nice volume, especially ever since Chase Claypool was traded to the Chicago Bears. During that stretch, he's seen a 25% target share while averaging around 51 receiving yards per game. Not bad at all for a guy priced here at $4,300. And then Tyler Conklin there of the New York Jets has seen a 16% target share this year and has a solid matchup against the Minnesota Vikings this week, who've allowed the 9th highest catch rate and 8th most touchdowns to the tight end position this year. And then I got a couple of honorable mentions here as well. With no Darren Waller back for the Raiders, I still think Moreau is fine at $3,600. And then Hayden Hurst, I did downgrade him because Jamar Chase is expected back this week, but at $3,500, certainly capable of meeting 3x value at that price, which is always what I'm looking for in my cash lineup. Now, I'm going to keep it really simple here with defenses this week. I like the Steelers and the Jets, both sitting at $2,600. The Steelers have clearly been better with TJ Watt back. Helps when you get Minkah Fitzpatrick back as well, and I certainly don't mind the matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, who have only averaged 18 points per game over their past 3. And then the New York Jets, a little tougher matchup here on the road against the Minnesota Vikings. Going to have to stop Justin Jefferson, but this defense is legit, man. They got some playmakers on the back end and have now racked up 19 sacks and 4 turnovers in their past 4 games. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play. With Mike Williams out here this week, Carter will be back as wide receiver number 3 in this Chargers offense, and again has a great matchup here against this Raiders defense. When Mike Williams has been out this year, Carter has played in at least 80% of the offensive snaps in every single game, and over that span he's seen 6, 4, 3, and 10 targets just last week, while posting 73, 33, 64, and 53 yards. Not bad for a guy priced in the 3K range. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this Week 13 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.